I'll never forget the first e-commerce brand that I ran Google Ads for. They had $30 a day to spend. That's it. $900 per month. And you know what I did? I followed all the best practices I learned. Set up a shopping campaign, a search campaign, put some money to display remarketing, spread that tiny budget across everything. It was a disaster. We burned through money for weeks with almost nothing to show for it. And that's when I realized that everything I've been taught about Google Ads was for big budgets. None of it worked at this level, so I had to figure it out from scratch. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Liam. I'm the founder of Vulcan, a Google Ads agency for e-commerce brands. That $30 a day I just mentioned, we eventually got it profitable, and then we grew it. And over the past 6 years, I've taken the same framework and used it to manage everything from accounts spending $50 per day all the way up to now accounts spending multiple hundreds of thousands per month. The difference? I learned that small budgets need an entirely different playbook. So in this video, I'm going to show you my 3-tier framework, the exact system I use to take small budget accounts and scale them profitably. Because here's what nobody tells you. The strategy that works at $50,000 per month will ruin you at $1,000 per month. I'm going to walk you through this live in a real account so you can set this up today. All right, before we jump into the framework, let's define what we mean by a small budget. For this video, I'm going to say a small budget is anything less than $100 per day or about $3,000 per month in ad spend. At this level of spend, you're working with real constraints. You can't test everything. You can't be everywhere at once. Every dollar matters because you don't have enough data flow to waste money on experiments that bigger advertisers can afford to run. So here's how I break it into 3 tiers. Tier 1 is under $50 a day or generally less than about $1,500 per month. At this spend level, it's all about focus. One campaign, best performing products, that's it. Tier 2 is $50 to $100 per day, which is $1,500 to $3,000 per month. You're still in small budget territory, but you have enough budget to strategically layer on a second campaign and expand across more products in your catalog. And tier 3 is $100 to $200 per day. And this is where things get interesting. You're moving out of really small budget constraints into more meaningful spend levels, $3,000 to $6,000 per month. Now you have real decisions to make about how you scale. And look, if you are spending less than $30 per day or $900 per month, pay very close attention to this video, because at that budget level, you have zero wiggle room for mistakes. One wrong campaign setup, one poorly structured product feed, and you've just burned through a week's worth of budget with nothing to show for it, because you need to get this right the first time. So for everybody, no matter what tier you're in, let's get into the strategy right now. Before you build out any campaigns, there are 3 non-negotiables that you must have in place. If you don't have these, it will not work. Number 1 is Google Merchant Center. You need a Merchant Center set up and approved. This is what connects your products from Shopify into Google Ads. If you haven't done this yet, pause this video, set it up, and come back. It should take about 15 or 20 minutes. Because without it, you can't run shopping ads, and they are key to success at this level. I have a video, I'll link it in the description, about how you can connect Google Merchant Center to Shopify so that Google Ads can speak to Shopify directly with your products. Number 2 is an optimized product feed. And this is the part that most people will mess up. They get their Merchant Center approved, their products sync over from Shopify, and they think they're good to go, but they're not. Because your product feed is the foundation of everything. Your product titles need to be keyword rich and descriptive. Your images need to be high quality. Often lifestyle images will perform better than your standard product images or product flat lay. Your product categories need to be right on point. If your feed is garbage, your results will be garbage. It's as simple as that. Once again, I have a video, I will link it in the description, of what you can do to optimize your product feed. Number 3 is rock solid conversion tracking, arguably the most important one of them all. You absolutely must have conversion tracking set up properly if you want this to work. The reason why is Google Ads learns from conversion data. If you don't have conversion tracking set up, you don't get conversion data. Once again, I'm being very good to you. I have a video linked in the description, how to connect Shopify to Google Ads so that the conversion tracking comes through, and then everything you need to do to make sure conversion tracking is working. Once again, linked in the description. Once you've got these 3 things locked in, you've got Merchant Center approved, you've got your product feed optimized, and you know your conversion tracking is working, then you're ready to go. Let's start with tier 1. So if you're spending less than $50 per day on Google Ads, my recommendation is to set up one standard shopping campaign. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how we should set that up. So our campaign objective is going to be sales, and our conversion goal is going to be purchases. That's set up already. We know our conversion tracking is already set up. Select a campaign type. I want to select shopping. Now I'm going to add products to my campaign by selecting my Merchant Center account. Now Google will try one of its sneaky little tactics on us, and it will ask us to select a campaign subtype, and it already defaults to Performance Max. It wants us to use Performance Max because it can get us to spend more money because there's more available placements like search or YouTube or static imagery as well that we can use. So it means that Google has more reign to spend our ad spend, and we don't want that to happen. So we want to instead focus on standard shopping campaign, and I will give it a name and I'll call it shopping and I'll call it best sellers. Next up, I'm going to set our daily budget. And let's say for the purpose of this video, we are spending $50 per day and we're going to spend all of our $50 on this campaign. I'm going to set that to $50 average daily budget. I don't like to set a campaign total budget. It's much easier to just set an average budget per day. Our bidding, we're going to leave this at manual CPC bidding for now, and I'll explain in a little more detail about how we will select our bids. Customer acquisition will leave as it is for the moment, and campaign priority we will leave as low by default. Next up, I want to run this across the entirety of the United States, but I once again have to make sure that Google's sneaky little tactics don't get the better of me. So instead of picking presence or interest, I'm going to select presence. People in or regularly in our included locations, so the United States. We are no to EU political ads. I don't plan to use this account to run EU political ads. We don't need to change anything else in more settings. Our ad group name, I'm just going to call it again. I'm going to call it shopping, and I'm going to call it best sellers. And then our ad group bid, I'm just going to by default give it a bid of $1. And then our cost per click bid, I'm going to select just $1 for now as a default. We'll come back to it. Next up, we're going to select the products that we want to serve. I'm going to select a selection of products. Now, there's a few different ways that you can do this. If you're very familiar with Google Merchant Center, you can set up things called custom labels inside in Google Merchant Center, and you can tag some of your products by if they're best sellers or by seasonality or if they're high margin products. But I'm just going to say for this instance that you're not too familiar with using custom labels. So instead, we're going to select products by item ID. So here we will have all of our products come through with the Shopify IDs. Let's just say these 3 products are our best selling products, and we want to just focus on those for this campaign. So I'll just click save. I'll click on next. Everything looks good. And we're going to click on publish our campaign. So now you can see these are our 3 best-selling products that we want to focus on. And then we actually have everything else in all products. So once again, Google has actually left these products active. So those products that are not our best-selling products will actually start spending and serving if we don't pause them. So I'm going to actually exclude them from our campaign. And there we have it. Perfect. So we're only running on our 3 best-selling products. Now, how do we determine what bid we want to select for our max CPC? Well, there's a few ways of doing this. You can either yourself set it very low and then gradually increase with time. That's kind of just guesswork. I prefer to look at Google's keyword planning tool. So you're going to go up to tools, and then you're going to go to planning and keyword planner. You're going to click on discover new keywords. And in this instance, I'll say we're selling tennis rackets. So we'll get a breakdown of how much tennis rackets cost to serve. And this is on the search network. So we have 110,000 monthly searches, and competition is high. Top of page bid, the low range, and top of page bid, the high range. So we have 24 cents to $1.20. So generally what I do, I look for something kind of in the middle of these two is generally a good place to start. But once again, this is the search network, tends to be a bit more expensive than the shopping network. I would be pretty comfortable starting pretty near the low range bid. Now, instinct will tell me I need to be slightly higher to actually serve, but I'd be comfortable starting at about 40 or 50 cents as a bid here. So now that I go back to my ad group, I can change my max CPC across all of these products, and I can click change bids and set my max CPC to 40 cents. And now we won't pay more than 40 cents for a click on these products. You can change those max CPC bids at any point. As I said, it's always better to err on the side of caution here if you want to be more conservative, particularly at the start. If you're a low spender, every dollar counts. It's always easier to increase your bids and get more competitive gradually than it is to overbid and actually end up wasting a lot of money at the start. A couple of other things that you can do to help improve efficiency from the get-go. You can go to Insights and Report and when and where ads showed, and you can click on devices. Generally, tablets are a low volume, low converting device. You can actually go and decrease your bids here by 100% on those devices to actually stop them from serving at all, to make it slightly more efficient. The other thing that you can do, and I do recommend doing, is going to your keywords and going to negative keywords. You can either add an existing negative keyword list. I have a universal list here containing terms that I never want to serve for, so I can apply that list, or I can just add words individually. That's something you can do from the start, but it's also something I recommend doing as you get some data coming through. So you can look at your search terms here. There won't be anything in this campaign because it's not served yet, but the search terms will begin to come through. If there's stuff there that you don't like, it's not relevant to your business, it's not relevant to your products, well then make sure to exclude them using negative keywords to prevent wasting more money on clicks for those terms. So what you're going to want to do is let that campaign ride for 2, 4, 6 weeks, depending on performance. You're constantly looking at your bids, making sure that you're competitive enough without overpaying for each click. And then you're constantly refining your search terms with negative keywords. Now, eventually, with time, you should see conversions starting to come through, and maybe you'll be able to scale up this campaign to $60 or $70. And that brings you right into tier 2, that spot between $50 to $100 in daily ad spend. So $1,500 to about $3,000 per month. Now, at this point, you can make the decision to just continue scaling what's working. If your best-selling shopping campaign is working, its ROAS is really solid, and you say, I'm just going to keep putting more money behind it, don't add campaigns for the sake of it. Don't say, oh, Liam said in tier 2, you have to add a second campaign. That's not what this video is. This is just a recommendation. If you have a campaign that's working, keep raising the budget until it stops working, and then you can look at my recommendations. But quite often it will make sense to do this for tier 2, and this is adding a second campaign that's focused more on the remainder of your catalog. So what does that look like? Well, once again, we're going to go and we're going to create a shopping campaign. So you might say, let's try to spend $100 per day, and $70 of that is going to be in our best-selling shopping campaign that's performing relatively well. And now we want to add on our secondary campaign across the remainder of our products, and we're going to give it a daily budget of 30. So we've got about a 70-30 split. And once again, campaign priority low, manual CPC. Same here, presence as opposed to presence or interest. And then the campaign settings are the same as previous. We're just going to call this shopping once again, all products, and then say exclude best sellers, which is a bit of a misnomer, I know. But then for our ad group bid, well, we know that our tennis rackets, let's say our hero tennis racket is our best seller, and then we're selling other tennis rackets. We already know that about 40 cent is where we need to be, or maybe it's, you know, a month later and we actually figured out that 55 cent is where we need to be. But let's just say, look, we'll go a bit more conservative here because we're testing kind of non-proven products, and we'll say a 35 cent bid. And then for our product groups, all we do here is we can actually do the same thing again, and we can find these 3 best-selling products. We can select those and we can click on next. We can once again publish our campaign, and instead of everything else in all products being turned off or excluded, we can actually go and exclude these 3 best-selling products. So in that instance, we're actually running all of our products inside in this campaign, aside from our top 3 performers, which are running in our best-selling campaign. Now, something to be careful of is if you're a brand and you have gift vouchers or you have other products like that that actually you don't really want to be advertising, you need to make sure that they're excluded also from both campaigns. You don't want to be advertising those on Google. You don't be paying for those really. Once again, I recommend removing tablets, adding your negative keywords. Maybe you'll have seen some negative keywords in your best-selling campaign and you want to just drop them in here as well because you know that they are not keywords or terms you ever want to be serving for. So do that just to try and make it most efficient as possible. And now you're in a spot where you have a nice balance of having a lead campaign that's hopefully getting you consistent conversions, and then you have this secondary campaign that's helping you find a new product that is actually going to scale for you within Google Ads. So let's say with time you're getting more and more comfortable, you're up over $100 per day. So you're in that tier 3 stage. Once again, as I said, between tier 1 and tier 2, if you find campaigns that are working, keep spending. Don't add more campaigns just because I said so. Instead, if you find something that, okay, I feel like I'm kind of a little stuck, I need to add maybe another angle or another direction here. I've capped out at, let's say, $100 daily spend for my best-selling products, and then my remainder of my catalog, my kind of all product campaign is spending about $50 per day. It's getting conversions, it's working okay, but nothing really standing out for me at the moment. What I sometimes recommend to people is to look at search campaigns. Now, for the vast majority of e-commerce brands, shopping will be more efficient than search, but there is a case to be made to target your core product terms that you know convert via search. So these are terms that have converted via shopping. You're just taking them and you're doubling down on them via search campaigns. So the way in which you should do this, what you can do is go into your best-selling product shopping campaign and go to Insights and Reports and click on Search Terms. And you'll be brought up with this graph. So you can then sort this search term report by conversions or by conversion value. And if you find a term like this term or a term like this or like this that have converted well, and they've converted at a high ROAS and they've relatively high volume, none of these, this is just a very new campaign, but none of these have huge conversion volume, but let's say they had a little bit more, then you might say, okay, I want to double down on those. I want to take the search term and I want to run it in a search campaign. So all you do then is you go to campaigns, you click on plus, you click on new campaign, sales, select a campaign type. Our campaign type here is going to be search, website visits, www.yourwebsite.com, and we're going to be taken through. We'll call this non-branded search. For now, we'll just leave this on focusing on conversions. I have a whole video on bid strategies that will help you with this, but we're going to be going for manual CPC here. We don't have to set a target cost per acquisition. Customer acquisition settings we'll leave as is. Make sure we turn off our search partners. Make sure we turn off our display network as well. Once again, we'll select the US, presence, English as our language. This doesn't have EU political ads. We can add some audience segments if we'd like. We don't have to, but generally, if you have first party lists to add them on observation, it's always a good thing. I don't want to optimize with AI Max because I want to actually choose my keywords and everything myself. I'm going to skip all this and then I'm going to enter my keywords. So let's say I have a keyword like soft grip tennis racket and I want to run this as exact match. So what I'm going to do is use the square brackets and I'm going to say soft grip tennis racket. This is the term I've seen work really well for us. I want to target it directly. So I'm going to use exact match, and that means we're only really coming up for that term and not more terms like that. Then I have a full video on ad copy, best practices, everything like that. I don't think this is the video to really get into it. But I have lots more resources on creating search campaigns. We're going to add headlines, descriptions, everything like that. Once we have our campaign set up, then we need to make a few changes to our bids once again. Once we have set our campaign up, we are going to change over our bid strategy to that manual CPC bid strategy I discussed. Then once again, we can actually change our max CPC to whatever bid we want. Maybe we know exactly what it takes to convert on this term on the shopping network and to get the click. So maybe we will either start there or start a small bit higher because we know shopping, it tends to be slightly cheaper than search. So maybe add 10-15% to your bid. So there you have it. You've layered on additional search coverage to capture intent across what you know and believe to be high converting terms in your ad account. But you're only layering these things on when you have additional budget, when you've got proof of concept. This is really important to do when you have a low budget. With this additional search campaign, you can do the same things, focus on your negative keywords, and make sure that you've got really squeaky clean search terms to basically maximize efficiency. So there you have it, my complete 3-tier framework to crushing Google Ads on a small budget. If you're under $50 a day, my take is one campaign, top performers, and that's it. You have to get profitable first. At $50 to $100 a day, you can either choose to keep running that top performing campaign, or at a maybe 70-30 or 80-20 split, add in your other products in a separate shopping campaign. Let your winners win while you test everything else. And then at $100 to $200 per day, it's decision time. Do you keep increasing through your shopping campaigns? And if they're working, my recommendation is to keep putting more money into them. But if you find that you're beginning to hit a bit of a plateau, and you shouldn't be, but if you find that you are, or you simply want to try search, well then take your top performing terms, keep them in exact match for the tightest efficiency, and run them on the search network. The key here is matching your strategy to your budget level. Don't try to run a $50,000 per month ad strategy when you've only got $1,000 to play with. Start where you are, get more profitable, and then grow more intelligently. Now, if you're already spending over $5,000 per month and you're looking to scale even further, or if you're just tired of managing this yourself and want experts to manage it for you, we might be able to help. At Vulcan, we specialize in scaling profitable e-commerce brands on Google Ads. If you're spending over $5K per month on Google Ads and you want to see what's possible, then click the link in the description below, book a free call with me. My team and I will audit your account, show you where you're leaving money on the table, and map out a clear roadmap to the next tier in your growth. That link is in the description. Book a call if you're ready to take it to the next level with Google Ads. And once you've booked that call, check out this next video where I show you the new way to run Google Ads in 2026.